The rain fell soft and quiet over Seoul. It was the kind of rain that made people close their eyes and lift their faces to the sky, but could not feel it. He had not felt rain on his skin for 3 years. He stood at his apartment window, watching the world below. People walked with umbrellas. Some laughed and ran through puddles. A young couple shared a single umbrella, their shoulders touching, pressed his hand against the cold glass. His fingers were the only part of him that could still feel such simple things. His face was gone, not destroyed but buried under metal and wire and circuits that covered everything from his forehead to his jaw. The mask was dark gray, almost black, with lines of dim blue light running through it like veins. Two small holes allowed his eyes to see the world. That was all. No mouth visible, no nose, no expressions, just metal that hummed with broken technology. 3 years ago had been a military engineer. He was good at his work. The government chose him for a special project. They wanted to build something new. A neural interface mask that would connect directly to a soldier's brain. It would let them see through walls, hear enemy communications, react faster than any normal human. Helped build it, and then they asked him to test it. The explosion happened on the third day of testing. Something went wrong with the power system. The mask was on his face when it happened. The heat fused the metal to his skin. The circuits burned into his nerves. By the time the doctors reached him, the mask had become part of his body. They tried to remove it. They tried 7 times. Each attempt nearly killed him. The mask had connected itself to his brain stem. Removing it would mean death, so they stopped trying. The military gave him money and told him to disappear. They did not want people to know about their failed project. They did not want to see what they had done to him. So disappeared. He lived alone now. His apartment was small and dark. He kept the curtains closed most of the time. Going outside meant people staring at him, children crying at the sight of him, adults looking away in disgust or fear. He had learned it was easier to stay hidden. The mask made everything difficult. Eating was done through tubes connected to ports in his neck. Speaking was possible, but his voice came out strange and mechanical, filtered through the mask's damaged speakers. Sleeping meant listening to the constant hum of machinery fused to his skull. But the worst part was not being able to show his face, not being able to smile when he wanted to smile, not being able to cry when he needed to cry. His emotions existed inside him, trapped with no way out. A knock came at the door. Did not move at first. He knew who it was. Only one person still knocked on his door. He walked slowly to the entrance and opened it. Stood there with a bag of food and a smile that hurt him to see. She was his younger sister, 24 years old, a nurse at a hospital downtown. She was the only family he had left and the only person who still treated him like a human being. "I brought soup," she said, walking past him into the apartment. "And those rice cakes you like. Well, you used to like, I hope you still do. Close the door. You do not have to keep coming." "I know I do not have to." Set the food on his small table. "I want to. There is a difference." She looked at him the way she always did, not at the mask, at his eyes. She always looked at his eyes. She said she could still see her brother in there. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "The same." "Any pain today?" "The same." Sighed, she sat down and started unpacking the food. The hospital was crazy today. 3 emergency surgeries. A man came in with a piece of metal stuck in his leg. Can you believe that? Just walked in like it was nothing. She talked while she worked. She always talked, understood why. The silence in his apartment was heavy. It pressed down on everything. His voice pushed it back, at least for a little while. He sat across from her and watched her eat. His own food came later through the tubes when he was alone. He did not like her to see that process. "Have you thought about going outside?" asked carefully. "Just for a walk, maybe at night when fewer people are around." "No. The doctor said sunlight would be good for you. For the parts of you that are still, she stopped herself. Human finished. Looked down at her food. I did not mean it like that. I know. They sat in silence for a moment. The rain continued outside. Listened to it, wishing he could feel it. I should go, finally said. She stood and gathered her things. I have an early shift tomorrow, but I will come back next week, same time. You do not have to. I know. She walked to the door, then stopped. She turned back and looked at him. You are still my brother. That mask does not change that. Nothing changes that. She left. Stood alone in his apartment. The silence returned, heavier than before. He walked back to the window and pressed his metal forehead against the glass. It was cold. He could feel the cold through the sensors in the mask, but it was not the same as feeling it on skin. It was data, information, not sensation. Below, the couple with the shared umbrella had stopped walking. The man was saying something to the woman. She laughed. He could see her laugh even from up here, the way her whole face changed, the joy that moved through her. Had forgotten what that felt like, to laugh, to show happiness on his face. I will be like this forever, he whispered. The words came out through the mask speakers, flat, mechanical, not his voice, not really. He stayed at the window for a long time. The rain stopped. The clouds broke apart and stars appeared. The city quieted as night grew deeper. Then he saw it. A streak of light across the sky, bright and burning. It moved fast, faster than any plane. At first he thought it was a shooting star, but shooting stars burned out. This did not burn out. It grew brighter, bigger, closer. It hit the Han River with an explosion of water and steam. Even from his apartment, felt the impact through the building's frame. Car alarms started screaming in the streets below. People ran to windows and balconies, pointing at the sky. His mask flickered. The blue lines on his face pulsed brighter for a moment. Then he heard something through the military frequencies still connected to his damaged systems. A sound, a pattern, a voice. Not Korean, not English, not any human language. But his mask was trying to translate it. The technology that trapped him was reaching out, trying to understand. Words began to form, broken, incomplete. Help, crashed, dying, please. Stood very still. He should ignore it. He should stay hidden. He should let others handle whatever had fallen from the sky. But the voice kept repeating, scared and alone and dying, and understood those feelings. He understood them very well. He grabbed his coat. He pulled the hood over his head to hide his face, and for the first time in months, opened his door and stepped out into the night. The streets were chaos. Police cars rushed toward the river with their lights flashing. Helicopters filled the sky, their searchlights cutting through the darkness. People stood on sidewalks, pointing and talking, their phones raised to record everything. Kept his head down and walked fast. His hood covered most of his mask, but anyone who looked too closely would see the glow of blue light beneath. He stayed in the shadows, moving through alleys and side streets he had memorized during his years of hiding. The military frequencies in his mask were alive with chatter. Soldiers were being called in. Scientists were being woken up. Everyone was asking the same question: what had fallen from the sky? But through all that noise could still hear the other signal, the alien voice. It was weaker now, fading. Whatever had crashed was dying, and it was dying fast. He reached the river 30 minutes later. Yellow tape blocked the area. Soldiers stood guard with their weapons ready. Crowds pressed against the barriers, trying to see past the bright lights that had been set up around the crash site. Did not go to the barriers. Instead, he moved along the river's edge, far from the lights. His mask still held some of his old military clearances, codes that had never been removed because no one remembered he existed. He used them now, sending signals to nearby systems, creating small distractions. A light tower flickered and died. Guards ran to check it, slipped past. The crash site was larger than he expected. The object had carved a long path through the water and into the muddy bank. Steam still rose from the ground. The air smelled like burned metal and something else, something sweet like flowers. At the center of the destruction lay something that was not a machine, or not entirely a machine. It looked grown rather than built, curves instead of angles, surfaces that seemed almost like skin. It was cracked open now, broken by the impact. And inside something moved. Approached slowly. His mask automatically adjusted his vision, cutting through the steam and darkness. He saw a shape, long and thin, 4 arms, a head that was too large for a human, skin that flickered with faint light like dying stars. The alien. It saw him too. Its eyes were huge and dark, like pools of black water. It tried to move but could not. Silver liquid leaked from wounds across its body. The light in its skin grew dimmer with each passing second. Knelt beside it. "Can you understand me?" he asked. His voice came through the mask, strange and mechanical. The alien made sounds, patterns of noise and light that meant nothing to him, but his mask was working, translating, learning. Words began to form. "Help, please, not ready to die." "I am going to help you," said. He did not know why he said it. He did not know how he could help, but the words came out anyway. He looked at the alien's wounds. The silver blood was flowing fast, too fast. He pulled off his coat and pressed it against the largest wound. The alien made a sound that might have been pain or might have been thanks. "Why did you crash?" asked. More sounds, more light patterns. His mask translated slowly. "Ship damaged, my people, punishment." "Punishment? Your own people did this to you." The alien's eyes focused on him, on his mask. The metal fused to his face, the blue lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. "You trapped," the alien said. "Metal in flesh. I see, I understand." Felt something twist in his chest. Even an alien from another world could see what he was, a prisoner inside his own body. "Yes," he said quietly, "I am trapped." "I am also trapped," the alien said. "Trapped in exile, crime was compassion." The words were clearer now. The mask was learning faster, leaned closer. "What do you mean? What was your crime?" The alien story came in pieces, broken sentences, fragments of a life far away. Its name was El. It came from a species called They were ancient, powerful. Their technology was so advanced that it seemed like magic to younger species. They had watched the universe for millions of years. They saw other species rise and fall. They saw them struggle and suffer and die. And they did nothing. They believed they were above other species, too advanced to interfere, too important to care. They watched plagues kill billions and did not help. They watched wars destroy worlds and did not stop them. Compassion was considered a weakness. Helping lesser species was considered a crime. But El was different. El had watched a plague spread across a small world. The species there was young. They had barely learned to build cities. They had no defense against the sickness that was killing them. And El had helped. She had used her healing abilities to save thousands, maybe millions. When the council learned what she had done, they were furious. They called her a criminal. They said she had contaminated a lesser species with kindness they did not deserve. Her punishment was exile. They damaged her ship. They sent her into the void of space with no way to call for help. They expected her to die alone in the darkness between stars. But she did not die. Not yet. Her ship drifted until it reached Earth. And now she was here, bleeding silver blood into foreign soil, being helped by another prisoner. "Your people," said slowly, "they punished you for being kind." "Kindness is weakness to them," El answered. "Compassion is disease. They fear it because they cannot understand it." Looked at the alien's fading light, at her wounds that would not stop bleeding. He thought about the life she had described, a species that had everything except the one thing that mattered. I am going to take you somewhere safe, he said. Can you move? I do not know. Shouts came from behind them. The soldiers had noticed the flickering light tower was not just a malfunction. Searchlights were sweeping closer. Did not have time to think. He lifted Elle in his arms. She was lighter than he expected. Her body was warm, almost hot, and the light in her skin pulsed weakly against his chest. He ran. His mask helped him see in the darkness. It mapped routes through the industrial area along the river. It warned him when guards were close. The military technology that had destroyed his life was now saving another. He carried Elle through alleys and under bridges. He moved through parts of the city that no one watched. His lungs burned. His muscles screamed. But he did not stop. An hour later, he reached his apartment building, the back entrance, the stairs that no one used. He climbed them slowly, Elle growing heavier with each step. Finally, they were inside. He laid her on his bed, the only bed he had. Her silver blood stained his sheets. Her breathing was shallow and strange. Why? Elle asked, her dark eyes looking at him with confusion. Why help me? You do not know me. I am not your species. Sat in the chair beside the bed. He was exhausted. His whole body ached. But he looked at this alien, this exile from a cold and heartless people, and he saw himself. Because I know what it feels like, he said. To be alone, to be punished for something that was not your fault, to have everyone give up on you. Elle was quiet for a long moment. You are strange, she finally said. Your species, humans, you are very strange. Almost laughed. It was the first time he had felt anything close to laughter in years. Yes, he agreed, we probably are. Outside, sirens wailed as the city searched for whatever had fallen from the sky. But inside the small apartment, a man trapped in metal and an alien exiled for kindness began to understand each other. It was the beginning of something neither of them expected. 3 weeks passed. Had never taken care of anyone before. He barely knew how to take care of himself. But he learned. He cleaned Elle's wounds with water and cloth. He covered the windows to keep the light dim because bright light hurt her eyes. He talked to her even when she was too weak to respond. His mask learned the language completely. The translation was perfect now. Every word Elle spoke he understood, and she understood him. During the first week, she mostly slept. Her skin still flickered with light, but it was weak and unsteady. The silver blood stopped flowing, but the wounds healed slowly, too slowly. Your body is trying to repair itself, observed one night, but it is not working properly. Elle lay on the bed, her 4 arms resting at her sides. I am disconnected, she explained. My people draw energy from a signal that reaches across space. It keeps us alive, keeps us strong. And they cut you off from it. Yes, when they exiled me, they blocked my connection. I am running on whatever energy I had stored. It is running out. Sat in his usual chair. He had barely left the apartment in 3 weeks. He had food delivered. He avoided calls. He told her he was fine, just busy, knowing she did not believe him. How long do you have? He asked. I do not know, weeks, maybe months, maybe less. The words hung in the air between them. Elle was dying, slowly but certainly dying, and there was nothing either of them could do about it. But even as her body weakened, her mind stayed sharp. She asked about Earth, about humans, about the metal on his face. He told her everything, the project, the explosion, the 7 failed surgeries, the day the military told him to disappear. Your own people did this to you, Elle said quietly, and then they abandoned you. They were afraid of what I represented, a failure they wanted to forget. My people would never do such a thing, Elle said. Then she paused. No, that is wrong. My people would never accidentally harm someone, but they would definitely abandon them afterward. We are alike in that way. She studied his mask with her large, dark eyes. The technology was biological, grown from living cells. It merged with the body perfectly because it was alive itself. Human technology was different. Metal and wire forced into flesh, crude but creative. Your people, El said one evening, you build things that hurt you. You know they might hurt you and you build them anyway. Why? Thought about it. Because we want to be better, faster, stronger. We are willing to suffer if it means progress. My people are never willing to suffer. We only create things that are comfortable. That is why we stopped growing thousands of years ago. We have everything we need. We have no reason to reach further. But you reached further, said. You helped those people. You knew you would be punished, but you did it anyway. Elle's skin flickered brighter for just a moment. I could not watch them die. They were small and young and afraid. They did not understand what was killing them. I had the power to help. How could I not use it? The council did not agree. No, they said I had contaminated them, that my compassion would spread through their species like a virus, that they would grow to expect help from the universe instead of earning their survival. Leaned forward, do you regret it? Elle turned her head to look at him. Her dark eyes reflected the dim light of his apartment. I did. For a long time, drifting alone in space, I regretted it. I thought I had been foolish, that my kindness had destroyed me for nothing. And now I am here, in your home, being cared for by a human who has every reason to hate the universe but chooses to help a stranger instead. Her voice softened. Now I think maybe compassion is not a virus. Maybe it is the cure. The next day, Elle asked to examine his mask more closely. Sat on the edge of the bed while her long fingers traced the metal on his face. She touched the seams where technology met skin. She felt the warmth of the circuits and the cold of the metal. This is fused to your nervous system, she said. To your brain, it has become part of you. The doctors said removing it would kill me. Human doctors with human technology. Elle was quiet for a moment. Healing is different. We do not cut or remove. We convince the body to change, to release what does not belong. Felt his heart beat faster, a feeling he had not allowed himself in years. Hope. You could remove it. I could separate your flesh from the metal, slowly, carefully. Your nerves would heal. Your skin would grow back. It would take time, but it is possible. Then do it, please. But Elle's light dimmed. She pulled her hands away from his face. I cannot. Why not? The process requires energy, life force, the same energy I am running out of. She met his eyes. If I heal you, I will die, not in weeks or months, immediately. The hope in his chest turned cold. Then we find another way, he said. We contact your people, we explain what happened. Maybe they will reconnect you. They will not. My crime was compassion. Helping you would be the same crime again. They would rather I die than prove them wrong. Then we find energy from somewhere else, another source, something on Earth. There is nothing on Earth that can replicate the connection to my. I have already looked. Your planet is young and beautiful, but it cannot save me. Stood up, he walked to the window and stared out at the city. Thousands of lights, millions of people, and none of it mattered because he could not save one dying alien who had offered him freedom. I will not let you die for me, he said quietly. That is your choice, but it is also my choice to offer. He turned back to look at her. Why? Why would you give your life for someone you just met, a human, a primitive species by your people's standards? Elle smiled. It was strange on her alien face, but it was definitely a smile. Because that is who I am. That is the crime I committed. That is why I was exiled. And meeting you has shown me that I was right. Her light flickered softly. Your species suffers so much. You hurt yourselves with your own technology. Your own people abandon you. And yet you still help strangers. You still show kindness to the alien bleeding in your home. That is just basic decency. No, that is extraordinary. My people have forgotten what that looks like. You have reminded me. The door to the apartment suddenly opened. stood in the doorway, her key still in her hand. She had used the spare key had given her years ago. Her eyes moved from her brother to the bed, to the alien lying there, to the four arms and the glowing skin and the huge dark eyes. She dropped her bag, her mouth opened, no sound came out. Said carefully, "I can explain." His sister stared at Elle stared back. And then slowly closed the door behind her. "You had better start explaining right now," she said, "and it had better be good." Looked at Elle looked at him. For the first time since the crash, felt something strange. Something that was not fear or pain or loneliness. He felt like maybe, just maybe, he was not alone anymore. Did not scream, she did not run. She sat in the chair that usually used and she listened to everything. The crash, the rescue, the alien exile punished for showing mercy, her brother caring for a dying creature from another world. When the story was finished, she was quiet for a long time. "You should have told me," she finally said. "I did not want to put you in danger. I am a nurse, I help people, that is what I do." She looked at Elle with professional eyes. "She is very sick, even I can see that. What does she need?" "Energy," Elle answered. Her voice was weaker than before. "A connection to without it I will continue to fade. And there is nothing on earth that can help. Nothing I have found." Stood up and walked to the bed. She examined Elle carefully, noting the wounds that had mostly healed and the light in her skin that continued to dim. "Then we keep you comfortable," said firmly. "We keep you alive as long as we can, and we figure something out." From that day, came to the apartment every night after work. She brought medical supplies from the hospital. She monitored Elle's condition. She talked to her about Earth, about humans, about the small things that made life worth living. Elle grew to love these conversations. She learned about Korean food and music and history. She learned about job, saving lives in a busy hospital. She learned about the relationship between the siblings, how had never given up on her brother even when everyone else had. "Your sister is remarkable," Elle told one night when had gone home. "She is stubborn." That is the same thing. Remarkable people are always stubborn. 2 more weeks passed. Elle grew weaker. Her light was barely visible now, just a faint glow under her skin that appeared only when she was emotional. And then the sky changed. Saw it first through his window. A new light in the night sky. Not a star, not a plane, something larger, something that hung in the darkness like a threat. His mask picked up new signals, transmissions in the language. His blood went cold as he translated them. "They are here," he said. Elle pushed herself up from the bed. Her body was weak, but her eyes were sharp with fear. "The council sent hunters. I knew they would. An exile cannot be allowed to survive among primitives. It would be an embarrassment." "How many?" "3. That is the standard number for a termination squad." Through the window, they watched 3 smaller lights separate from the larger vessel. 3 pods descending toward Earth. The news exploded within hours. Every channel showed the same footage. 3 tall beings walking through the streets of Seoul. The hunters were beautiful in a cold way. Their skin glowed bright and steady. Their movements were smooth and graceful. They looked like gods walking among mortals. But they did not act like gods. They acted like exterminators. Anyone who got in their way was pushed aside. Not gently. Humans were knocked down, thrown against walls, stepped over like insects. The hunters carried scanning devices that swept the city, searching for Elle's biosignature. "They will find me," Elle said quietly. "My energy is low but not gone. They will track what remains." "Then we move you," said. "We hide you somewhere else." "Where?" "They will scan the entire city, the entire country. They will not stop until I am dead." Pace the small apartment. "There has to be something we can do, someone who can help." The news continued to show footage of the hunters. People were angry. These aliens had come to Earth and were treating humans like animals. Governments demanded answers. The hunters ignored everyone. One reporter managed to get close enough to ask a question. "Why are you here? What do you want?" The lead hunter, taller than the others with skin that glowed almost white, looked at the human with cold eyes. "We are here to correct a mistake," he said, his voice translated by nearby devices. "One of our kind has contaminated your world with her presence. We will remove her. Then we will leave. Do not interfere. You are not capable of interfering." The dismissal was absolute. Humans were nothing to them, bugs to be ignored. But humans did not like being treated like bugs. Watched the footage and felt something building inside him. Anger, not just for himself, for Elle, for everyone being shoved aside by these cold, beautiful monsters. "They think we are nothing," he said. "To them, you are nothing," Elle replied sadly. "That is how they see all species who are not. They are wrong." He walked to his computer. His fingers moved across the keyboard. His mask connected to systems it had not touched in 3 years. Military frequencies, emergency networks, underground channels used by veterans and hackers and people who had been forgotten by their government. "What are you doing?" asked. "Something stupid, something human." He began to broadcast. His voice went out through every channel his mask could reach. Every soldier with neural implants, every hacker with illegal equipment, every ordinary person with a radio or a phone. "My name is, 3 years ago the military fused technology to my face and then threw me away. I have been hiding ever since, but tonight I am done hiding." He paused, letting the words settle. "The aliens hunting through our city are looking for one of their own. Her name is Elle. She is an exile. Do you know what her crime was? She saved lives. She healed a dying species, and her own people punished her for it." Across the city, people stopped to listen. Soldiers in their barracks, hackers in their basements, nurses in their hospitals, students in their dormitories. "They think we are primitive. They think we are animals. They expect us to stand aside while they hunt down someone who committed the crime of compassion. Are we going to let them?" The response was immediate. Messages flooded back, veterans offering to help, hackers asking for coordinates, ordinary citizens wanting to know what they could do. Stared at her brother. "You just told everyone where we are." "No, I told everyone why we are fighting. The hunters will find us anyway, but they will not find us alone." Within hours, the city transformed. False signals appeared everywhere, mimicking Elle's biosignature. The hunters split up to investigate. They found nothing. Again and again, they followed signals to empty buildings, abandoned warehouses, subway stations. People moved through the streets in waves, not attacking the hunters, just blocking them, standing in their way, making them push through crowds that kept reforming. The lead hunter grew angry. He grabbed a young man who stood in his path. "You are insects," he snarled. "Why do you fight for something that is not your concern?" The young man looked up at him without fear. "Because she helped people. Because you want to kill her for being kind. Because we are human and that is what we do." The hunter threw him aside and continued forward, but more people came. More obstacles, more delays. In the apartment, Elle watched through the window. Tears fell from her dark eyes, silver tears that caught the light. "They are protecting me," she whispered. "Strangers, humans I have never met. They are putting themselves in danger for me." Stood beside her. His mask reflected the lights of the city below. "I told you," he said, "we are stubborn." The lead hunter appeared on a screen. He had found a camera crew. His message was broadcast across the world. "I am Or, commander of the termination unit. The exile will be found. Any human who interferes will be removed. This is your only warning." He looked directly into the camera. His eyes were cold and empty. "You cannot protect her. You cannot stop us. You are less than nothing." Stared at the screen. At the alien who thought humanity was worthless. at the cold certainty in those ancient eyes. "You are wrong," said quietly, "and we are going to prove it." Behind him, El's light flickered, not with weakness this time, with something else. With hope. The hunt lasted 3 days. For 3 days, the hunters moved through Seoul like ghosts. They scanned every building. They tracked every signal. They pushed through crowds of humans who refused to step aside. And for 3 days, humanity fought back. Not with weapons. They knew weapons would not work against beings so advanced. Instead, they fought with chaos. False signals everywhere. Crowds that moved like water, always in the way. A city of millions working together to protect one dying alien. The hunters grew frustrated or destroyed property. He threw humans aside with increasing violence. But still they kept coming. Still they stood in his path. "Why do you fight?" he demanded of an old woman who blocked a doorway. "The exile means nothing to you." The old woman looked up at him with steady eyes. She showed mercy when she did not have to. That means everything. On the 3rd night, the hunters finally found the real signal. El was too weak to hide anymore. Her biosignature flickered like a dying flame, but it was enough. They came to S building. Was there, standing at the door. She would not move. "You are in our way," Or said. "Yes." "Move or be moved." "No." He raised his hand. Energy gathered around his fingers, ready to push her aside like all the others. But then the door behind her opened. Stepped out. His mask glowed bright blue in the darkness. Behind him, barely able to stand, was El. "You found us," said. "Congratulations." Or looked at the human with the metal face. His expression showed nothing but contempt. "You are the one who organized the resistance." The defective human with the primitive technology fused to his flesh. "I am, and yes, I am defective. My own people made me this way and then threw me away, just like your people threw El away. She is a criminal. She violated our most sacred laws. She saved lives. That is the violation." Took a step forward. His sister reached for him, but he gently moved her hand away. "I have been listening to your transmissions," he said. "My mask translates everything. I know what your people believe. I know what you think of us. You call us primitive. You call us animals. You say we are less than nothing. Because you are. Then why are we the ones fighting for compassion while you fight against it?" Or's calm cracked for just a moment. Anger flashed in his eyes. "You understand nothing. Compassion weakens species. It makes them dependent. It stops evolution. Our laws exist to protect the universe from that weakness." "Your laws exist to protect your pride," El said. Her voice was weak, but her words were sharp. "You are afraid. Afraid that if you show mercy, you will have to admit that you have been wrong for millions of years. Afraid that kindness is strength and cruelty is weakness." Silence. Exile. "No," El straightened as much as her failing body allowed. "I will not be silent. I have spent my final weeks with these humans, these primitives you despise. And do you know what I found? A man trapped in metal who still opened his door to a dying stranger. A woman who works every day to heal the sick and then comes home to care for an alien she never asked to meet. A city full of people who risk their safety for someone they have never seen." She looked at the hunters, at the cold beauty of their glowing skin, at the emptiness in their ancient eyes. "That is not weakness. That is the strength we have forgotten. That is what we lost when we decided we were too good to care." Or raised his hand again. "Enough. You die now. The human dies with you, and then we leave this primitive world to its meaningless existence." But he did not know about the mask. Throughout this entire conversation, damaged military technology had been doing what it did best, transmitting. Every word spoken had gone out through every frequency he could reach, every channel on Earth, every communication satellite in orbit. And beyond, other species existed in the galaxy, species they had dismissed as primitive, species they had watched suffer without offering help. Those species had technology too. They could receive signals. They could translate languages. The universe was watching. "Before you kill us," said calmly, "you should know something. This conversation has been broadcast to every receiver capable of picking it up. Earth, beyond Earth. Everyone heard what you said. Everyone saw what you believe. Or went still. You wanted to quietly eliminate an exile and return home," continued. "Instead, you showed the galaxy exactly what they really are. A species so afraid of compassion that they hunt down and murder anyone who shows it." New signals began coming through. Mask could barely process them all. Messages from other worlds, other species, civilizations that had ignored for. They were angry. The collective stands with the exile. The Federation demands the withdrawal. The Outer Rim Coalition condemns this action. More and more, species that had never spoken to each other were speaking now, united by the broadcast, united by what they had witnessed. Or looked at his fellow hunters. For the first time, there was uncertainty in his eyes. "This changes nothing," he said. We do not answer to lesser species." "Maybe not," said, "but now you answer to all of them together. How many lesser species does it take to become a threat? How many primitives do you have to fight at once before you lose?" The silence stretched long. Finally, Or lowered his hand. The energy around his fingers faded. "This is not over," he said. "The exile remains guilty. Your species remains primitive. And one day you will understand what happens when you interfere in matters beyond your comprehension." He turned and walked away. The other hunters followed. Their pods rose into the sky. The larger vessel gathered them and disappeared into the darkness between stars. They were gone. Elle collapsed, caught her before she hit the ground. "You saved me," she whispered. "You foolish, wonderful human, you saved me. We saved each other." Her light was almost gone now, barely a flicker under her skin. Her dark eyes found his. "I do not have much time left, but I want to give you something before I go." "No, you need your strength. You need to survive." "I will survive, just not in the way I expected." She reached up with one of her 4 hands and touched his mask. "My body is dying, but my essence does not have to die with it. Can transfer ourselves into technology. We can live on in other forms." "What are you saying?" "I cannot heal you without dying, but I can join with you, my consciousness, my knowledge, my life force. I can merge with this mask that traps you. I can transform it from a prison into something new." Tears fell from his eyes. They ran down the metal of his face and dropped onto Elle's glowing skin. "I do not want you to die." "I will not die. I will become part of you, part of this technology. I will live on in a new way, and you will finally be free." She did not wait for his answer. Light exploded from her body, not the dim flicker of recent weeks, but a blaze of energy that filled the room. Felt it enter his mask, enter him. Every circuit, every wire, every piece of metal fused to his flesh. It did not hurt. It felt like warmth, like sunlight after years of darkness, like finally coming home. When the light faded, Elle's body was still, empty, the shell that had held her for so long. But inside's mind, inside the technology that covered his face, something new existed, a presence, a companion, a friend who would never leave him. The mask changed, the dark metal softened, the rigid surface became flexible. Slowly, carefully, it began to shift. For the first time in 3 years, felt air on his cheeks. Not all of his face, not yet, but part of it. The mask had opened, it could move now, it was alive. Rushed to her brother and held him tight. "Your face," she whispered. "I can see part of your face." "She is still with me," said Elle. "She is inside the mask now. She says she is happy. She says this is what she wanted." Months later, stood before leaders from every nation on Earth. His mask was different now. It still covered much of his face, but it moved with him. It showed emotion. It opened when he wanted it to open. Metal and flesh and alien technology all working together. Behind him stood, beside her, representatives from 12 alien species who had answered the broadcast. The primitives of the galaxy, united. They called us less than nothing, said to the assembled world. They watched us suffer and refused to help because they thought we did not deserve it, but one of them disagreed. One of them showed us mercy, and in return we showed her what humanity really is. He paused, the light in his mask pulsed softly, L's presence still with him, always with him. We are primitive, we are young, we hurt ourselves with our own technology, we make terrible mistakes, but we also do something the forgot how to do millions of years ago. We care about each other, we fight for strangers, we shelter exiles, we refuse to let compassion be a crime. He looked at the aliens standing behind him, species that had been ignored for generations, species that were ready to stand together. The galaxy is watching us now. Let us show them what primitives can do. In his mind, warm and bright, L laughed with joy. And for the first time in years, smiled. Everyone could see it.